In this video, let's concern regarding the pronunciation of English word. Hope you would like to know that how much importance of pronunciation of English word in entire English, and as well during the conversation, how should we pronounce of a word in a translation. At the time as a speaker or in the mind of audience, you have to focus in your pronunciation word. You have to command in so many words which are obviously used in entire English and day-to-day life with the people. After focusing on this kind of pronunciation or words in English language, you find it that you just can find yourself in comfortable zone during the conversation period. At that moment, I think as a speaker, when you try to speak at that moment, you realize that wow, so it's different from one thing to another thing, and like that whenever you try to speak like this, that I realize that when the people try to speak anything else, they don't care the pronunciation, that how should they speak in English language with the people. So I think when you do like this, it means that you are getting mistake, or if you're doing any mistake, I mean that you will always get the mistake during the speaking of English language. So to speak English is fluently with the people, there is one condition, that is how can you find yourself in comfortable zone as a speaker, or are you able to make comfortable with the audience that whatever and what you mean you want to express by your own mind. At that time you have to find out that as a speaker, as the audience are getting well or not. So I think that when you try to speak these things, then you have to care toward the pronunciation of an English word. Without caring of this kind of fact, that how can you speak these things, it is impossible. So I always recommend to the students that first of all you have to command in vocabulary, and as well as we have to command in the translation making. So without making a translations good or according to the grammatical portion, how is it possible to express the grammatically correct of the translation? So most of the student and most of us have the pronunciations lacking. So I think I would like to recommend to those and to them that you have to focus in your translation making first. So as a little bit of your translation, you know that you should react by using this kind of translation with the people. So after visiting with the people, you will find yourself in the comfortable zone after using this translation. So for the first time, if you use this translation with the people, after second time you will find yourself in comfortable zone. Without using for the first time, maybe you can get the mistake during your speaking period for the first time when you are going to use the first translation. At that moment, I always say that first of all you get the mistake, you get the second mistake, you get the third mistake, you get the fourth mistake, and like this you will always get the mistake one by one after using a lot of translation in your entire futures. But doing all the mistake in your entire future, you'll find yourself that you just can find yourself in comfortable zone with the people. So as a speaker has the responsibility to make the comfortable with the audience at that moment. So to speak English fluently with the people, and as well with everyone's. For example, if anyone is senior to you, at that moment you start to talk in English language, I mean your conversation must be certainty, and your conversation should be very very easy method, so that the next and frontier people may get you mean what you mean want to express at that moment. So just realize you have to just realize yourself that how can you use of the same translation. Maybe for the first time as an audience, he didn't mean what you meant, but after second time when you use the translation, you always find yourself that as the audience get an awkward condition. At that moment you have to reuse the same translation. For example, if anyone say that I'm pardon please, then at that moment you have to react spontaneously that excuse me, what do you mean by that? So he can reply to you that I'm sorry, I do get well that what is English is really very meaningful or not. At that moment, what type of responsibility you have? I think you have to care of the tension of the people at that moment, that what they mean, and after that you have to react again. And if you will do like this, it means that you understood everything else, and how to express of your expressions or your thoughts or by your own mind. At that moment you realize that wow, it's very easy to speak this thing. But it happens obviously with us that in the mostly conditions we find that there's lack of word vocabulary, expression, idioms, and there are so many words. So regarding these things, or the pronunciations point of view, I would like to recite something by or having a listen this lines. You will find shock yourself that how is your teacher's pronunciation of this kind of words. So let's start, and let me recite these lines, and please be ready to listen this mantra. ओम स्वयं सुकृतन भवने स्म लक्ष्मी पापात्मन कीर्तय देश बुद्धि श्रद्धा संता कुलजन प्रवत्सला जातात्मन तस्मा परिपालय देवी विश्वम. Now you look at this line, that how did I pronounce of this line with the according to the Sanskrit pronunciation. In the same way, if I pronounce regarding the alankar, for example, sa re ga re ga ma ga ma ba ma ba da ba da ni da ni da ni da. Actually, this alankar makes the rhythm of a particular song. So if you have commanded in pronunciation of a word, that means you just can make the rhythm of a translation with the people. In the same way, let me recite again. Sa re ga ma ba da ni sa re ga ma ba da ni sa da ni da ni da ni da ni da na ni da ni da ni da ni da ni da ba ni da ba ni da ba ni da ba da ba da ba da ba da. You know, look at this word that I recite 2 or more than 2 times of a particular letter in this line. Sa sa re re ga ga ma ma ba ba da 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 da. Sa sa re re ga ga ma ma ba ba da 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 da. Sa sa re re ga ga ma ma ba ba da 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 da. Sa sa re re ga ga ma ma ba ba da da ni ni sa sa. Sa 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 re 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 ga 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 ma ma ma. I like this when I will repeat this line. For example, sa re ga ma ba da ni da ni da ba ni da ba ma ni da ba ma ga da ba ma ga ba ma ga ma ga ri sa re ga ma ba da ni da ni da ba ni da ba ma ni da ba ma ga da ba ma ga ma ga ri sa sa re re ga ga ma ma ba ba da da ni sa sa ni da da ba ma ma ga ga re sa re ga ma ba ma da ba da ni sa re ga ma ma da ba da ni da ni da ni da ba da ba ma ga ma ga ri sa re ga ga ma ba ba da da ni sa re ga ga ma ba ba da da ni sa re ni da ba ma ga ga ri sa. You have to pronounce in reverse mode or inverse mode. When you find awkwardness that how it should be pronounced in correct line. So now you look at other things. For example, I'll recite some Sanskrit verses. For example, सतनाम प्रवक्ष्यामि लानिन्यस्य प्रसादमात्रेण दुर्गा प्रीता भवेत् शति शति शाद्धमैव प्रीता भवानी मोचनीयाद्या दुर्गा चया चादा त्रिनेत्रा सुलधारिणी पिनाकदारिणी चित्तराचनगन्त महतपा मनोबुद्धिरहंकार चित्तारूपचितचिति सर्वमन्त्रमे सत्ता सत्यानंद स्वरूपनि अनंता भावनी भव्य भव्य सदा गति शाम भवि देव माता च चिंतनतन प्रिय सदा सर्वाविदा दक्ष कन्या दक्ष यज्ञ विनाशनी अपर्णानेक वर्ण च पाटलावती पट्टंबर परिधान कलमंजीरंजीरेम विक्रमा कुरुड़ा सुंदरी सोड़ सुंदरी वर्ण दुर्गा चा मातंगे मातन मणि पूजिता ब्राह्मश्वरी चंद्री कुमारी।